Well,
Can you share some of the products you developed?
I developed sauces and dressings. One of my biggest claims to fame was in the fragrance division, which I did a big presentation. We don't walk out of school and become a chef. It's not something that's bestowed, that we don't bestow upon ourselves. When you recognize us, that's when we're chefs.
What makes an incredible dish to you?
Best way to explain the most incredible dish is the reaction of the customer. The left side of the brain and the right side of the brain, which makes you certifiably crazy. Contrast of flavor,
Right.
contrast of texture. It was so easy to just have it implode in your mouth rather than enjoy the orchestration of flavors and textures.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of What is Your Story? I'm your host, Louis Sarkis, and today I have the pleasure of introducing Chef Martin Corso, a classically trained chef and master saucier whose 40-plus year journey has taken him from restaurant ownership to helping shape menus for some of the nation's most recognized brands. Known for his love for Italian cuisine and unforgettable flavor, Chef Martin has built a career around tradition, creativity, and never compromising on quality. Welcome, Chef Martin.
Thank you very much.
How
Louis.
are you?
I'm sparkling as usual.
Good to see you on my podcast.
Yeah, thank you for the invitation. It's
So
good.
tell us your story, man. Tell us your journey.
Let's see.
What inspired you to be a chef?
Let's see. Well, it's a good one because starting as a young little child in Italian family on the East Coast, and where mostly everybody in the neighborhood spoke Italian.
Yes.
I watched The Galloping Gourmet. I don't know if anybody remembers that show, The Galloping Gourmet, with Graham Kerr. And it was a famous show. I think it was still in black and white.
Yeah.
But I was just completely enamored by his love of cooking. And he drank at the time. It was kind of funny. And just loved to watch it, and how it was a small audience. And it was just wonderful to see the excitement and the pleasure that came from it. It wasn't just the cuisine.
Yeah.
It's how it made a difference with so many people. So I dug it.
Really
and
interesting.
that was the start.
So walk with us, the audience. Tell us the journey, how you came from the East Coast to
Right. Yeah.
Temecula,
I was
having a
in-
bunch of restaurants, and just tell us the
I
story,
know,
the whole thing.
I've had 5 restaurants. I have a background in research and development, food science, flavor technology, and flavor modulation. So I have the left side of the brain and the right side of the brain, which makes you certifiably crazy because you can't really blend the two well, but they work. I opened my first restaurant. Graduated culinary school, Johnson & Wales University in Rhode Island. Opened my first restaurant. I was 24, 25 in New Haven, Connecticut, on the outskirts of Yale University, and it is still open today. And that was in 1985.
Really?
So I'm very proud of that. I sold out of that a few years later and took off on my own. And my second restaurant was Chef Martin, of course, because I didn't have an ego issue at all. And I did that, and that went well until the recession hit on the East Coast. Then I opened Roni's East.
Roni's East.
Roni's East, which was short. And no, my name isn't Roni or Ronnie. It's short for macaronis. Because when you're Italian in your house, you run in the house and you're a kid and you go, Ma, I want some Ronis.
Yeah.
And so you get pasta.
So I take it you're Italian.
I'm Italian, second generation.
What part of Italy?
From Campania.
Okay.
My father's roots are Sicilian. My mother's a Campania, which is Napolitan. And that's where it all started.
Say something in Italian.
Mangia bene.
What does that mean?
It means eat. It's good.
Oh, that sounds so good.
So it's
All right.
good. Yeah, Mom wasn't a great cook. I just want to make sure you guys know that. And I think that's kind of what propelled me forward. She's a good baker, but that's what made me want to cook more.
Did she teach you some of the recipes?
No,
And
because
you got inspired from her
I
cooking?
watched. You just got to peek and you
Yeah.
got to watch. And baking, you just watch and watch and watch. And
Yeah.
that's how you learn. And it was a great journey.
Okay, so what led you to move to Southern California in 1999?
I was corporate. I had made the transition in, I think, 94, 95. out of restaurants because I was going to sell one of my restaurants, Roney's East. I was going to sell because somebody wanted the location, and I was done. The recession had hit. Olive Garden moved in. Red Lobster moved in. So the small business kind of it was time. I told one of my clients, and he was very disappointed that I was going to be selling. And he said, what are you going to do? I said, I'm not sure, Fred. I'm not sure. He said, why don't you come and work for me? I said, work for you? I said, Fred, it's not my thing. And no, I want you to come talk to my sister. And she's ran at research and development. And I became the first executive chef for Subway World Headquarters. So Subway Stores International, I was the executive chef. Every chain restaurant, no matter what, quick serve restaurant, fast food, everything has an executive chef. And they're all from classic train. So that's how it started. And then I went from that, and then I was found by a headhunter to go into flavor technology, a flavor company out in New Jersey, which was absolutely the most fascinating job because it was science. It was completely wonderful chemistry and science. And I developed new products, and I worked with flavorists and perfumists on the fragrance end of the company as well.
Can you share some of the products you developed?
I developed sauces and dressings that went to craft in Nabisco that went on the store shelves.
No way.
And one of my biggest claims to fame was in the fragrance division, which I did a big presentation for BBW, which was Bath and Body Works. And we did food fragrances. So you sit in a big room in Manhattan, not Kansas, not Manhattan Beach, in New York. And we did a big presentation, and I did a soup that I had done for my first restaurant, which was very popular. And it was called, it was just this wonderful cold soup in the summer. And they loved the fragrance, and they loved the taste. And 5 years later, they launched that fragrance.
Yeah.
And it was wonderful because it was based on that presentation. You probably remember it.
Which one?
Yeah, it was their biggest selling ever. And it was a cucumber melon.
Oh, wonderful.
So it was cucumber melon soup, and it eventually became a fragrance. And it was fantastic.
That's really cool.
Yep. And then I evolved, and then I was in Jersey. And then I used to have clients. I had clients out here in Southern California, and I would sit there and go, Southern California, Central Jersey, Southern California, Central Jersey. I was single.
Yeah.
And so, it was an easy pull. So I moved out to the West Coast, and ever since then I was out here, and you're out here, and it's all good.
And now you have Roney's West.
I have Roney's West.
You got rid of Roney's East, and now you have Roney's West.
I had the Chef's Grill for many years. People loved the Chef's Grill, but it just had the wrong zip code. And it was great.
Yeah.
And we did very well, but it belonged in a different kind of more eclectic, more Cosmo area.
Yeah.
And I was able to take those customers, rebrand, and become Roney's West. And it's Italian contemporary now, and I brought a lot of the Chef's Grill into it.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so that's where we are today.
I can't wait to hear more about it.
That's fun.
So what does being a master saucier mean to you?
Well, the position of saucier is probably one of the most wanted and desired positions because you're the heart.
Yeah.
You're like the heart of the kitchen in the restaurant. You develop what you are as sauces. As a saucier, you do stocks and you do sauces. They could be whole, they could be hot, they could be so many directional. It's like with women dressing. Okay, when a woman dresses, she accessorizes beautifully. So she can add a new scarf, different blouse, jewelry, belt, shoes. And when you're a saucier, you can accessorize everything. You could work with the same protein. You could work with shrimp or chicken or salmon or veal or pork or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
But you accessorize using sauces, and you can go different directions, ethnic backgrounds, textures, mouthfeels, flavors, boldness, softness, cream, not cream. There's so much you can do to it. You can directionally move the restaurant or move your menu and move the customers.
With the different sauces.
Yep.
For sure.
You tell a story with your sauces.
What makes an incredible dish to you?
Best way to explain the most incredible dish is the reaction of the customer. You have to know who your customer is.
Yeah.
And when you get to know them, you start to feel their heartbeat.
Yeah.
You want to know what they like. You know your community, you know their flavors and what drives them. So texture is very important. Seasonality is very important. There's certain things you don't run in the summer. There's certain things you only run in the summer. You have to know who your audience is, what the demographic makeup is. Some of the items I do in Southern Cal, I'm not going to do in Georgia. But it all depends on where you got to know your customer, feel their pulse.
Name some of your incredible items.
Well,
dishes that
right now
that people love.
Right now we're doing oxtails. Oxtails are very popular and they're wonderful. And I do it with a chocolate rosemary demi-glaze, and they're just beautiful. And we do
I'm
great.
Getting hungry listening to you.
That's good stuff. The piccata's like a fingerprint. Every chef does a piccata.
Yeah.
Piccata sauce, and each one of our piccatas is our unique style. It's like an artist or a musician. You know their style. And my style piccata seems to go over very well. And there's so many different sauces, cream sauces, Alfredos to one person are different from Alfredo to another.
Yeah.
And dessert sauces the same way.
One of my favorite dishes is chicken Alfredo.
Chicken Alfredo, you can't go wrong.
Or shrimp Alfredo.
Yeah. And my Alfredo, is just pure, decadent, sultry, heavy cream based. I mean, it's you need a cigarette after.
You're making me hungry,
yeah,
Martin.
It's good stuff. Yeah.
So how do you balance the tradition and creativity in the kitchen?
You got to stay true to the art. The one thing I tell my chefs, the one thing I've always said, don't compromise. You stay true to the art. You have to stay true to traditionalism because it's all about the fundamentals of cooking. Like when I went to culinary school, I went to Johnson & Wales University, and I was already blessed. I was a damn good cook when I went to culinary, and I did very well at culinary. But I was already good, but it was natural. It just came naturally. What culinary school did for me is it taught me why I was good. So it basically reverse engineered the sauces and the development and the creations I was doing, and it taught me why, what steps I was doing that were correct. And that's how you build a sauce. That's how you build a preparation or texture. It's like when you do a brown sauce really quick.
Yes.
Say you want to make a gravy, a dark demi-glaze or a gravy. You think, okay, you're going to take your butter, you're going to make a roux, which is flour and butter combined together. Well, if you're doing a brown sauce, you don't just use flour and butter and clarified butter. You need to brown your flour. So I toast my flour in the saute pan so it takes on a brown flavor, brown color to it, and it also picks up like a little toasty hazelnut flavor to the flour.
Right.
Then I blend it with clarified butter, and I don't use raw butter. You have to use clarified butter because you want the whey solids boiled out of it, and that's one of the differences. Each little step is so integral to a perfect preparation.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's fun stuff.
So looking back at the 40 years in your schooling, what was your proudest moment?
Let's see. Proudest moments in culinary, standing ovations, I would say. In your dining room, when you walk out of the kitchen, and I loved having open kitchens. I didn't want to be locked behind the box. And when you walk out in a dining room and you're still amped up and you're just wired and you're hot and you've just been through a battle.
Right.
And all of a sudden you walk out in the dining room and there's just people like you and I are coming who just suddenly just applaud because you made a difference for them. You made an experience for them. You did something that moved them. That in this day and age now where ROIs, okay, return on investment, whether it be financial or emotional, it's so important. And when you can move someone with food, like musicians move themselves with music, or an artist with a painting, that's the big difference. If you can move people where they say, this was a great investment, not only financially, but I remember this. And I still have customers today when I did cooking shows and I gave them the recipes. I give everyone the recipes.
You were on a cooking show?
I did my own shows. I did Get Sauced with Chef Martin, which was a show.
Oh, I love that.
That was a lot of fun. And they all get the recipes. And I still have people today who will come to me and say, we still use that recipe on our Christmas day.
Yeah.
When you could, where people use it as now it's a family recipe that's handed down. I mean, what's better than that?
Have you ever thought of maybe making a book? A recipe book?
There's too many cookbooks out there.
Yeah.
They're great. It's a good thing. It's kind of like kind of a personal thing more than anything else. I'd rather talk to you, walk to you, cook for you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love it.
that's the book.
So tell me about Martin, your personal life a little bit. What is your morning routine look like?
Now, let's see. I wake up, I got my dogs, I love my pups, and I start my day off pretty well. Everything is about art. I'm a painter and a sculptor, and I'm heavily into painting. I do abstract paint. And a lot of my artwork is in the restaurant. And then I start my day and I just get myself rolling and get in the right frame of mind and know that I have to get out there, put on my mask and my cape and become Chef Martin. And that's what
Tell
I
us
do.
a little bit more about your paintings. What made you get into
It's an expression.
art?
It's like, it was always natural. I started sculpting very early and I didn't know I had the talent for that, but I was an ice sculptor. So I did competitions on the East Coast and I did very well with that. And you can't do those out here. Damn ice melts too fast out here. But it's an old school thing too.
Yeah.
And but I did ice sculpture and that evolved into wood and I would sit there and sculpt.
What's the
wood.
process with that?
With which?
The ice sculpting.
You start with a 300-pound block.
Oh, God.
And we use chainsaws and chisels. And
How long does it take?
It depends. In competition, you have 4 hours to do a piece.
Okay.
And it all depends. You have to wait. You have to be in the right conditions for it and cold. And then you have to wait for the ice to temper just right. You have to pick out what your subject is going to be because you just can't sculpt anything because it's a prism. You have to think about the ice when it melts before judges come around to judge it or even just spectators. You want the sun or the light to come through at just the right point when you're ready to show. So it has to melt. It's not just sculpt, carve, chop, and go. You have to wait for it to melt a little bit. And when you design your piece, you have to look at extremities or different parts that are going to melt faster than other parts. So you have to keep that in mind when you sculpt. So it's a lot of fun.
That is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It sounds fun.
Yeah.
So you get up in the morning, you take care of the dogs and this and that.
Yep.
You have coffee, tea, and
do a workout and get myself physically ready for the day.
Okay.
Get my act together, and then I start thinking about what I need to get done, and talk to my chefs. And I'm basically at this stage in my career too. I'm more imparting wisdom. I'm directing.
Yes.
It's just that fun part where it's all about what I'm feeling for that day.
Yeah.
And
Can you share some of that wisdom if a young chef right now listening to this podcast and they want to be inspired by you, what would you tell them?
I would tell them one of the most important thing is know your fundamentals. Learn the fundamentals of your art.
Yeah.
And always stay true to the art. Stay true. It's about evolution, not revolution. When you're developing, when you're creating, you want it to evolve. You don't want to make it something that is confusing. Like you want to educate, not intimidate.
Right.
And often I've seen chefs and I've seen restaurants that have come and gone because they want it to be a show of who they are. But it can be intimidating to the consumer, to the customer, where they don't know what something is, so they're less apt to come.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, I can't go there. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Right.
In this day and age, food and wine, for instance, we live in a wine community, food and wine. Educate people on what to serve with what. I could make the most wonderful dish in the world, but if you choose a wine that doesn't go with it,
The wrong wine.
my food's going to taste like hell. Or your wine is going to taste like hell. Like you can't do the oxtails with the chocolate rosemary demi-glaze with a Chardonnay. I mean, or you can't do a tomato sauce like a marinade with like an oak Chardonnay or something like that because you're going to have two acids. You're going to have two acidic. Yeah. They're going to just fight each other, and it's not going to work. It's not going to work with your tongue, your mouth, and everything. One of the most important things too to the learned. Everything has to go by the nose to get to the mouth. Always remember that. Everything goes by the nose. There's nothing that doesn't. So that's the first thing they're going to do is waft. Then it goes into the mouth. So keep that in mind. Definitely. Keep them on. One of the other most important things, the ratios. How much sauce, to how much protein or how much sauce to a pasta. I use the analogy of cheesecake and strawberry sauce. Used to be very popular. Well, you can't do 4 ounces of cheesecake with 4 ounces of sauce. It tastes like hell. It's too much sauce for that amount. So you have to find the right ratio of what amount of sauce to that slice of cheesecake.
Right.
So it might be 2 ounces of sauce because you want to have a ratio of this much sauce in your mouth when it goes to this much cheesecake. The ratio is very important.
What's a good wine to go with the cheesecake?
The cheesecake, I would do like a Petit Syrah.
Okay.
I would do a nice, deep, rich, inky Petit Syrah.
Let's talk about your favorite dish that you'd love to make.
I still haven't created it. I can honestly say I love a classic carbonara, Italian carbonara, which is not a cream sauce. It's egg yolks and guanciale or like a pancetta.
Yeah.
And it's just a little water from the pasta and garlic, and that's it. And it's just simplicity.
Chef, you're making me hungry now.
It's good stuff. Yeah.
What's a good wine to go with that dish?
That I would go with because it has that wonderful egg yolky background. I can go to Sangiovese or something of that sort. Very simple, nice little red.
So every chef's dream is to open their own restaurant.
Yeah, they're out of their minds.
Do you recommend them opening their own restaurant?
It's everybody's dream because it's work.
Yeah.
It's a challenge. I love it. It was in my blood. I can say fortunately it was in my blood. Unfortunately, it's in your blood.
Yeah.
Because a lot of characteristics out there affect your work.
Can you share some of your challenges that you went through?
Absolutely.
With all your restaurants?
Yes. Recessions.
Yes.
The changes in economy absolutely affect your businesses. Upsides, downsides. One big downside, I'll tell you, when I was in R&D too, watching the consumer change. One of the worst points of our history was when 9/11 hit.
Yeah.
Okay, 9/11 was devastating. And it affected people psychologically. Psychologically, people were not going out to celebrate. They felt guilty about going out and having a wonderful meal and celebrating through cuisine, celebrating through food. So it affected how they ate. And that was a time when new product development went down dramatically. And people were then downsizing. They were looking at, I'm going to find a 25-cent taco versus a nice big meal.
Right.
And psychologically celebration. People want to feel comfortable about the dance,
right.
And it's like a dance, where you want to go out and celebrate.
Do you feel challenged by teaching all the chefs, that you hire all the different recipes?
It's again, if they're interested in the fundamentals, that's the hard thing. When you find one who reaches back and sees the foundation of cuisine, the foundation of cooking, where the artists, the beginnings of French cuisine, Italian cuisine, the beginnings, that's the epicenter of it, where the truest sauces came out of France and came out of Italy. I mean, when you can master that and recognize it and hold it close and always remember that those are the characteristics, that's your epicenter.
Absolutely.
I try and get them to learn. Always learn. Like learn what to use with what. Like butter.
Yeah.
Butter. I would say my favorite ingredient of all time. And
butter. I was just going to ask you, what's your favorite ingredient that you cannot live without?
Butter's your friend. Butter's your friend. And butter is interesting because I grew up in the 60s and 70s where, we had friggin' margarine, and I needed therapy back then. I was a kid. I mean, of course, we were from that household. Like, margarine's better.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's not, Ma. I swear it's not. And eventually, butter, because butter is just butter.
Yeah.
And there's different stages of butter as a chef.
Okay.
And not
Can
many
you share
of the
that with
kids
us?
know that, right? Well, you have raw butter, melted butter, drawn butter, clarified butter, brown butter.
Wow.
5 different stages of butter. And
You guys, check that out.
and each one of those has a specific purpose in cooking and baking. You can't use clarified butter really in baking at all. You can use raw butter and use sweet butter, and you could use salted butter.
I never knew that.
There's 5 different stages, and each one of them has a use and a reason. Like you use Clarified butter is for saute because you've boiled and you've cooked down all the whey solids and that, when that come out of it. And that's why when you see butter, why is Land O'Lakes better than, Albertsons? And why is it more expensive? One of them has more water in it.
Oh my God.
And we don't know that. We just think we're getting a better deal. But it's the quality. That's why people love the Irish butter.
Yeah.
It's a better quality. I mean, it's for what it's used.
I love it.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit more about Martin.
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite book, Martin?
Favorite book? That's a good one. Well, there are so many great classic cookbooks. I love looking at some of the old classic Italian cookbooks. Giuliano Bugiali was a chef I actually worked with. And I kind of did shows with him as his apprentice. And he had some great classic books. I worked with Jacques Pepin. And I worked as a little assistant to him in shows. He was tough. Jacques was tough. Still tough. But he's an artist. I worked with Julia Child. I had the when I was young, and she was just amazing. She was just the coolest person.
What's the name of the book?
No, the chef, Julia Child.
Oh, okay.
Everybody knows.
Okay. Okay.
Jacques and Julia. That.
Sounds good.
But
so
there's some
make sure
of the
I
best.
read that someday.
Yeah, the books are wonderful references.
Do you have a favorite quote?
I still go with the one it's about evolution, not revolution. Okay. We went through a revolution. And you guys remember in the 80s when fusion cuisine, I don't know if everybody knows fusion cuisine, what a nightmare that was. It was wasabi, black onion, encrusted sesame seed, enhanced, smoked trout over Yukon gold pickled. And it was like, whoa, back down. It's contrast of flavor, contrast of texture. And it was so easy to just have it implode in your mouth rather than enjoy the orchestration of flavors and textures.
Definitely.
It's all a journey. It's a beautiful, beautiful journey.
Any last words that you can share with somebody listening to the podcast right now, a chef or an audience, somebody like, what would you tell them to inspire them?
I would say to the customer,
yes,
find the chefs, find those small restaurants.
Yes.
I mean, right now we're seeing this in these times. We're seeing the smaller. The restaurants are, they're quiet. We don't see a lot of big cooking shows anymore.
Support
the old
your
ones are
local
syndicated.
Businesses.
Local business. Support local business. You see a chef who's putting his ass on the line out there?
Yeah.
Go to see him. He's the artist. You get stuck up, in the Olive Gardens and the Red Lobsters and stuff.
Yes.
I get it. You like the breadsticks, okay? But there's chefs, there's artists out there, just like you like your music, like your chef. See what they have. They're only around for a little while. Enjoy them while you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what would you tell a chef to inspire them? Your last thoughts?
Keep an eye. Keep an eye on what's going on. Watch trends. Learn your ingredients.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to look at other ethnic origins and blend them into your cuisine.
Gotcha.
Come up with the flavors.
Well, that was amazing,
Thank you.
Mr. Chef Martin Corso. I really appreciate you coming on my podcast.
Well,
I enjoyed so much your journey and your story, and wish you best of luck.
And thank you. And one last thing.
Yes.
It's you and all of you out there that make us chefs. We don't walk out of school and become a chef. It's not something that's bestowed, that we don't bestow upon ourselves. When you recognize us, that's when we're chefs.
That's right.
So thank you.
Thank you guys for watching What is Your Story for another wonderful episode. We'll see you on the next one.